Welcome back, Beast Army. Knight Rider here with Beast Mode Motivation, where we strive for success in money, fitness, and love. Today, we're talking about the basics of counting calories. Now, the first thing you need to know how to do is determine your daily caloric requirements just to maintain your current body weight. Off of that, you can then decrease or increase your caloric intake to lose weight or hopefully put on some muscle. We don't want to put on fat, right? Now, I'm going to link up a calorie calculator so you can get a little bit more specific of a number because it will vary depending upon your age, your sex, your height, your body fat percentage, your overall weight. A lot of things will influence exactly how many calories you need. Plus, you're an individual. So just your mental activity alone, a person who's thinking more is going to burn more calories as opposed to a person who just passively watches TV all day. So don't take this as the end-all be-all, but just take it as a starting point as to this is roughly how many calories you're going to need. But if you're not losing weight, hey, that just means you need to decrease the calories by 5 or 10 or 15%. A couple weeks goes by, if you're still not losing weight, take it off another 10%. In contrast, if you're taking off weight too quickly, or say you're trying to put on weight and you're not putting on weight, just increase the calories by 10%. Don't say, oh, but the calculator said I was supposed to be doing this at this amount of calories and it's not happening. Your body fluctuates a lot and each individual is different. So it's a starting place, but do not take it as the end-all be-all. Now, as a starting place, the average person will need roughly about 14 calories per pound of body weight per day to maintain their current weight. So here's a couple rough numbers. If you weigh 100 pounds, you're going to need about 1,400 calories. If you're 120 pounds, that's 1,680 calories. If you're 140, it's 1,960 calories. At 160 pounds, you're 2,240 calories. At 180 pounds, you need 2,520 calories. And at 200 pounds, that's 2,800 calories. Again, this is just an estimate, a starting place. It's also important to remember that it is common for people to drop several pounds in their first week or 2 weeks, but do not mistake and think that this is because you're dropping so much fat, because people get confused. They'll drop 5 pounds their first week or maybe 6, 7 pounds in their first 2 weeks, but then it drops down to now they're dropping a half of a pound in the third week and they get confused. What happened? Why am I dropping so much less fat? Well, it's not because you were dropping fat. What you were actually doing was just releasing some of the extra water retention that was in your body. So typically in the first 1 to 2 weeks, you're going to shed a couple pounds, but it's not fat. It's just excess water that your body was holding on to. So expect a couple pounds to come off right away, but do not expect it to keep going on at that rate. So if it slows down and you go from losing 3 pounds or 4 pounds a week to now a half of a pound a week or 1 pound a week, do not get discouraged. Just understand it was water coming off. Now all that excess water is gone and now we're losing the pure fat. Expect this, anticipate it. Do not get disappointed when your amount of pounds coming off decreases in the first couple weeks. In a moderately intensive diet, you'll aim to lose 1 pound per week. Now, in 1 pound of body fat, there are 3,500 calories. Therefore, you need to be at a 3,500 calorie deficit over the period of the week. Now, if you divide that by 7, because there's 7 days in the week, that comes out to an average of 500 calories per day. So your aim to lose 1 pound of body fat, so not the water, but actual real genuine weight loss, which is our body fat, in order to lose 1 pound of body fat per week, you need to average 500 calories of deficit per day. Next, you need to know how to count calories. Naturally, it wouldn't be very useful to know how many calories you need if you don't know how to count calories yourself. Now, of course, you can always just look on a label and say, oh, it says this many calories, but it's useful to know how to manually count calories yourself. So, there are 3 types of primary calories. You have proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Each of these 3 types have different amounts of calories per gram. Now, in 1 gram of protein, you have 4 calories. In 1 gram of carbohydrate, you also have 4 calories. However, in 1 gram of fat, you have 9 calories. So if you see something that has 5 grams of protein or 5 grams of carbohydrates as opposed to 5 grams of fat, there's actually twice as many calories in the fat as opposed to the carbohydrates or protein. Now that doesn't mean fats are bad, that's a big misconception. There are very healthy types of fat, you shouldn't avoid them, you just need to understand there's a lot more calories in them. So therefore the amount you should be consuming should be about half if you're trying to accomplish the same amount of calories. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little practice. We'll just do something simple, a bowl of cereal. So we have 2 components to the bowl of cereal. We have Cheerios, or I believe technically they're called O's because they're generic Cheerios from Walmart. So we have O's, and then we have a special type of milk called Fairlife milk, which has a different kind of caloric structure, but it gets the same point across. So let's say we want to have 2 cups of this cereal, and we'll also have 2 cups of milk. Now, there are 120 calories per cup is what they say, but we're learning how to do this for ourselves. So we're going to go ahead and manually calculate the calories. There is 1 gram of fat, however, we're having 2 serving sizes. One of the most common mistakes that people make is they do not look at serving sizes. This happens all the time with people who are beginning to count calories. They always forget to look at serving sizes. So we're going to have 2 grams of fat, and then we're also going to have our milk, right? So this is a 2%. Like I said, it's a little bit different with the Fairlife, but this is 4.5 grams per cup. We're having 2 cups, 2 serving sizes, so that's going to be plus 9 grams of fat. So that equals 11 grams of fat. For the carbohydrates, we don't have to do anything of the saturated fats or trans fats or polysaturated, monounsaturated. We don't have to take care of the fiber, the sugars, anything like that, because those are included in the fats and the carbohydrates and the proteins. You only need to do the fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. For now, we're also disregarding things like sodium, but in the future, of course, you do want to also look into things like sodium because that kind of impacts our overall health and how much water we're retaining. We look at carbohydrates. The Cheerios have 23 grams per serving. We're having 2 servings, so that's 46 grams of carbohydrates, plus the milk has 6 grams per cup, so that's going to be 12, because we're having 2 servings again. Sorry, my handwriting isn't very bad. Sorry, is very bad. So we take 46 plus 12, and that's going to be 58. 58 carbohydrates. Now we're going to go to protein. We have 4 grams of protein, 2 servings, so that's going to be 8 grams of protein, plus 13 grams here, which is going to be times 2. We have 2 servings, so it's going to be 26 grams of protein, and that is going to be 34 grams total of protein. Now, we have 58 carbs, 34 protein, and then 11 fat. Remember, the fat is going to be 11 times 9. So we're going to have 11 times 9. That's going to give us our calories. We're going to have 58 grams of protein, which we are going to times by 4, and that's going to give us the calories for the carbs. And then we're going to have protein, which is 34, which is also going to be times by 4. I can't do this off the top of my head, so I'm going to go grab a calculator real quick, and we'll get back. All right, so our fat came out to 99 calories. Our carbohydrates was 232 calories. The protein was 136 calories. So our total calories comes out to 467 calories. Now, here's the interesting thing. So you come back out to the Cheerios. We had 2 cups of Cheerios, 2 servings. So that's 240 calories, which we have right here. We then had 2 cups of milk that just happens to have the same amount of calories per serving, which is 120, so it's also 240. You add those together, because we have 2 servings of each, so 240 each, that's 480 calories. So what's the correct amount of calories in this bowl of cereal? Is it 467 or is it 480? Well, it's actually neither. Here's the interesting thing, is that companies round. And by the way, this is actually mandated by the government. I don't think I've done a little bit of research in it. I don't think they're actually allowed to say the exact caloric amount. They have to round to the nearest 10 most of the time. So if this has 118 calories, I don't think they're actually legally allowed to say 118. I believe the government forces them to go up to 120. So it's hard to get an exact caloric amount. It's similar with the fats and carbohydrates and proteins. You can see they're whole numbers, except for the fat up here is actually 4.5. But in reality, it's not actually 13 whole grams, 6 whole grams. It might be 5.8 grams of carbohydrates. It might be 13.1 grams of protein. So the amount of calories is going to be a little off, but they just round typically to the wholest number with carbohydrates and proteins. With fats, sometimes they'll do half grams, but it's very rare to see half grams for proteins and carbohydrates. So we just have to guess. We're getting one number here, we're getting one number here. Both of them are not the actual number. They're both going to be slightly inaccurate. So you can go with this one, you can go with that one. You can go with the in-between, which would be about 473, 74, something like that. Another thing you can do is you can Google. You wouldn't be able to Google something like this. Actually, you wouldn't be able to Google either of these because this is a very specific type of milk. But if you're just having normal milk, you can Google normal milk calories. Or let's say you're having a type of a food like chicken breast. You can just Google chicken breast, and on Google, it will give you the actual exact amount of calories, the exact including the incomplete numbers. It'll say like, okay, you have 1.7 grams of fat, you have 0 carbs, you have 21.8 grams of protein. So you can get a much more exact number that way. The truth of the matter is you don't have to be that exact. You can just take these numbers, it's going to be close enough. You can take these individual numbers, add them up, it's going to be close enough. Remember, saying 14 calories per pound of body weight or looking up your caloric calculator online, they're just starting points. They're just estimates. At the end of the day, the point is, if you're not losing weight, you need to reduce your calories more. If you're still not losing weight, you need to reduce your calories more. I can't tell you how many times I get the same question and I give them the same answer. People just don't want to listen. They're like, oh, but I thought I was supposed to have this many calories per pound of body weight, or I don't know, the calculator told me this, or this is what I was told. None of it matters. At the end of the day, if you're not losing weight, you eat less calories. If you're trying to put on some muscle, if you're not putting on muscle, you eat more calories. And by the way, that's my problem. I wish I could actually put on a little bit more muscle, but I don't enjoy eating that much, to be perfectly honest. So I never eat enough calories to put on the muscle. But at least I'm honest, because a lot of people will say something like, oh, I don't have the right genetics to put on muscle, or I'm an ectomorph, or this. They come up with all these weird excuses for why they can't put on muscle or why they can't lose weight. It's just because you're either eating too many calories or not enough calories. It's as simple as that. So now you know the basics of how to count calories. Check out some of our other videos to learn more about losing weight, building muscle, and staying healthy. Beast Mode.